Welcome to today's episode where we're going to be talking about the best offers to sell for either as a setter or a closer. So the first thing to note is not every offer and not each offer is built equal. If you want to earn big commission and you want to have the easiest time booking or closing deals, you need to choose the right offer to work on, quite simply. And today I'm going to be breaking down what we're going to be wanting to kind of keep an eye out for, what we want to look for, and what to avoid, most importantly, as well. Because we don't want you working your butt off to make very little money, because that just defeats the whole point. So your skill, right, as a setter or a closer is only a part of the equation to you making money. The other part of it is the leads, the offer. The offer let's say you can have two different offers, right? One can make you $2,000 a month. The other can have you earning 20 grand a month. And you're doing the same amount of work, right? You're not doing more work. It's just you're selling to different people and you're selling a different service. And that is really what it comes down to. So selling the wrong offer, what does that look like? Well, you'll have a low close rate, you'll have bad commissions, and you'll probably burn out because you'll work hard and you won't really be able to understand the whole process because you're working your ass off to make nothing. So you'll be burnt out as a result. Selling a great offer, high close rate, happy clients, a lot of commissions, and you love what you do and you're at an all-time high, right? So that is the difference. So what are the qualities of a winning offer? Well, the first one is the price point, right? We want something that is priced at least $5,000. That's the bare minimum. You might ask, why? Because the bigger the deal size, the fewer sales we actually need to hit our income goal. If I said to you, would you rather close one deal that's a 100K deal, or would you rather close 23K deals? On the one hand, you're making 10K from one deal, right? So you don't actually have to be on hundreds and hundreds of calls because you've just closed one deal. On the other hand, you are closing 20 deals worth 3K. So you're making, what is that? 10%, 300 times 20 is 6 grand, right? So you make 6K for working your ass off versus closing one deal, making 10 grand in commission, right? Very big difference there. Then, what else do we want? Well, we want a founder who creates content. We want a founder that has an audience. Content allows a founder to show their authority, show their know-how, and build an audience on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, right? As long as they have an audience of people that are listening to them and are the right people that they're trying to speak to, they're going to be able to make a lot of money off of that, quite simply, because it's powerful. Content is super important. We spoke about the importance of content in terms of following up, how it can act as a nurture, right? Each hour of someone watching someone's content is a touch point that leads to a sale. We need 7 hours of content. Would you rather close for a founder who doesn't post any content? The leads know a little bit about him, a little bit about what he offers, doesn't really know too much else. Or would you rather sell for someone who has so much content out there, the people you're selling to have watched all the content, they know what you sell, they know what you provide, they know everything, and they want to buy from you when they jump on the call, right? That is the difference. So we want someone who's posting content, being very active in doing so, educating their audience, providing them with value. And that just makes your job easier as a setter or a closer. And then the other thing is the audience, right? If you have someone who has millions of followers, millions of subscribers, you are never going to run out of leads to call or leads to jump on closing calls with. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be coming, right? So that is the importance of that. You also don't need to be with someone who makes, who has like 1 million followers, for example, for you to actually, be making good money. I know some founders of online businesses that have like 2,000 followers and they're making hundreds of thousands every single month, right? So it's just the power of the content, the amount of views it's getting. Because if a video gets like 1,000 views, you might look at that compared to like Mr. Beast and think it's nothing. But 1,000 views of people who the guy directly wants to speak with. So let's say I'm a marketing agency and I want to help, I don't know, sunglasses company, right? Sell more sunglasses. And I make it very clear, all my content is for sunglass owners, like sunglass business owners, right? So all my audience is going to be those kinds of people, most of them anyway, right? So by doing that, 1,000 views, you're speaking to 1,000 business owners for sunglasses companies, whatever. I don't know how to say that, but that is what you're doing. So don't be, I guess, naive or ignorant to the fact that just because someone doesn't have 1 million subscribers, that doesn't mean they don't have an audience, right? They do have an audience and they're doing well. It's just, you can't see what they're doing, right? As long as they're making content, as long as they have somewhat of an audience, that is super important. That is key. The bigger the audience, obviously, the more appointments you're going to book, the more appointments you're going to close, simply. Then, what we need is a founder who uses their social media to book calls, right? So if, for example, we're working with a company and the founder isn't using their social media to book calls or close deals or whatever it may be, that is a bit of a red flag, right? Because we can't be working with someone who isn't making the most of the fact that they can be printing, right? Having a personal brand as a business owner is extremely powerful. Now, this isn't me saying to you, build a personal brand. I don't think you guys should build a personal brand. I've made a shit ton of money closing without building a social brand. A personal brand, sorry. A personal brand isn't for everyone. It's a fucking skill, right? It's a lot of hard work. It's dedication. And what I would always recommend is build skills first. And then once you actually have authority in something, then at that point is where you want to actually build a personal brand, when you know what you're talking about. Because otherwise, who's going to listen to you? So that's the next one. Then what we want, looking at my notes here, is think about it like this. If you are, let's say, pretending to be someone who might be interested in what this business that you might work for is selling, ask yourself, based off of what I'm seeing, the client results, the quality of their website, the quality of their content, the quality of this, would I actually buy what they have? Because if the answer to that is no, then that pretty much makes it much easier, right? Makes your job so much easier. Because if you know that, okay, I wouldn't buy this if I was, for example, I wouldn't buy from this fitness coach if I was someone who wanted to lose weight. Then, okay, answers your question. Don't sell for someone like that. Because then you're going to have a hard time believing in what you're selling. So there's that. The red flags to avoid, to kind of almost talk about the negative, is low ticket, things that are $5,000 or less. Someone that has no content, no audience, because they're just going to struggle to get leads. And as a result, you're going to struggle to get leads. You're going to struggle to make money. Then a founder that's never sold their own offer, right? Because how is a founder able to help you sell their service if they've never sold it before, right? A business owner should never be hiring if they're like under 50K, right? They should be doing it still themselves because they need to build the systems. They need to build this and this and this. Then once they're at 50K, you hire people and then boom, you skyrocket higher than that, okay? And then the final thing that we want to keep an eye out for in terms of red flags is limited and no client results, right? It's going to kill your confidence, kill your close rate, make your job a lot harder if there's no client results. Okay, so summarizing, high ticket, 5K or more, has an audience, posting content, something that if you were pretending to be their audience, you would buy from them. Their founder has done the sales before, and on top of that, they have a shit ton of client results for you to lean on, for you to have that belief, because belief in sales is key. So that's everything for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the interview side of things, okay? This outreach section, it's going by quite quickly, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope you guys are too, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.